Hi there and welcome to our short video on how search engines work. In this session we're going to have a little look at the background of how search engines pull up the results that they do and how they operate in behind the scenes. So let's get started. To start off, we've got to think about why Google shows us the things that it does. For example, if I wanted to find out all about Mars, I would just type Mars into Google. Now me personally, I'm into the planet, but how does Google know that I want the planet and not the god or the bar or the works of Bruno? It doesn't. It needs certain keywords and it needs to know how it is throwing those across to us. So we might try and be more specific. We might say, what's the distance to Mars? So when that happens, potentially we have the choice of, will it show up the distance to Bruno? Is that really what we wanted? Realistically, what I was actually after was this, the distance to the planet Mars. This is actually what shows up when we search distance to Mars in Google. But why? The way Google works and the way all search engines work is they have three separate stages. The crawling stage, the indexing stage, and then the ranking and retrieval stage. What we'll do is we'll have a little look through all three of those. So your first step is crawling. Crawling is done by bots that we call spiders. And the way that they work is they look for keywords. And they crawl their way through the entire website, searching for the keywords that you've put in. They will then follow links to other pages on your site, and then links to other websites and looking for similar keywords. And they're doing this all the time, constantly searching and updating keywords. So when you update your website with new and exciting keywords, eventually it'll be added into Google's crawling index and they'll be pushed up. What happens then is that information is indexed and it is stored in huge databases. Google has loads of these all across the world, and basically it stores all of that data, all of that keyword information. What it then does is we then rank it. So it was invented by a guy called Larry Page, and it's called page ranking. And what it does is it looks at those keywords and it tries to see where your keyword fits against all of the other keywords. What it then does is shows you up when you type into the search engine Mars. So when we now type in distance to Mars, it will show us how far away Mars is. The things that rank those factors are wide, varied. They can be the domain name or the brand, how strong that is. It can be whether your website's safe, whether it has an SSL security certificate, how fresh it is, how unique it is. It can be whether you've had multiple languages, multiple regions, multiple use of the same keyword, its structure. There's so many different options. There are over 200 ranking factors that Google use in order to show your result on a search engine. Now, this system of crawling the web pages and storing the index and then the ranking algorithms coming in is constantly in play. So what happens is we are searching for stuff, and that's helping Google learn how we're searching for things. It now knows that when people are putting in distance to Mars, potentially they're after the planet. But the question there is, how does it understand what I really mean? Now, that can be helped by BERT. BERT stands for Bidirectional Encoder Representations for Transformers. It's a little bit complicated, but basically what that means is it's Google's attempt at an update to understand how we speak and understand how humans talk to one another. What they do is they use natural language processing to see the way we ask questions and the way we ask different information and try and get the semantic context from that. The quote from Google is that BERT is a natural language processing pre-training approach that can be used on a large body of text. It handles tasks such as entity recognition, parts of speech tagging, and question answering, among other natural language processes. BERT helps Google understand natural language text from the web, and they've open sourced this technology so others can create variations of BERT. One of the reasons that Google understanding how we speak like normal human beings is obviously because of the introduction of things like Alexas and the fact that we are constantly searching all the time. Previously, old results didn't understand what we were asking for in the same way. When you previously searched for something along the lines of parking on a hill with no curb, Google would ignore the word no. It didn't think that that was a relevant key term. It would look for parking on a hill, curb. So if you see on the screen there on the before section, it just tells you how to park on a hill. But now in the after section, because it now understands the language we're using and the way we're asking for things, it's going to show us how we park on a hill without a curb, meaning we get more accurate results. So why is it more important for the first result to be increasingly accurate? Things like Alexas, things like Google Homes, Siri, all your sort of virtual assistants, they tend to only show up the first result. Therefore, you need to make sure that all of your information and your keywords are there for the first result. And they show those up by asking questions, by talking in a natural human language. Search is constantly evolving with stuff like this. For an example, we have Pinterest's release of visual search, which will absolutely change the way that we are able to search for products, search for information, search for answers. The example on the screen here is if you search for shoes, it'll give you a suggestion of things like red shoes. It'll give you shopping suggestions. This is going to change up everything. Now, because it's changing so rapidly, we need to make sure that we don't get left behind. Doing that is difficult, but the way we go about it is making sure our keywords are up to date and that we understand the background of how the web works. Thank you very much for tuning into this lesson on how search engines works. I've been Andy Bremner. Have a great day.